there, everyone. I am hoping you all had a good week. It's finally Saturday. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for swinging by. I hope you enjoy the content, and if so, please consider subbing. Okay, I wanted to think about this one for a little bit before throwing it up on YouTube. A hardcore character, solo, with a controller. World's first incursion clear. That sentence alone should make every Division 2 player stop for a second and think. Not because it's some mythical achievement nobody else could ever touch, but because of what it reveals about the way this game actually plays when you push it to its absolute limit. Before we continue, it's that time. First, a big thanks to all my subscribers and members. I genuinely appreciate every single one of you. You've helped me with this foundation of this channel and continue to be the reason I keep pushing these videos out week after week. Next, a huge thank you to my clan. A few members had some time, and they gave me some needed assistance with setting things up with this channel. They brought me ideas, gave me suggestions, and helped me out with the streams. Their help allowed me to free up additional time to work the channel, and I can't thank them enough. If you're interested in helping moderate the streams, whether soft or full, just let me know. We can work something out. If there's enough interest, I could roll out some staff merch or something. So, here's my quick but very sincere thank you to everyone who subscribed to the channel, became a member, donated through any avenue, or jumped in and helped me with get this stuff off the ground. Thank you all. Okay, let's do it. Now, as a disclaimer, I'm still new to the YouTube thing and still working as a solo act, and I just don't have the time to figure out a way cleanly and quickly to include footage of Masamasa's video into mine. Further, I don't have his permission to do so. But technically, it's a gray area of terms of service violation YouTube has. So, I included a direct link to his video in the description if you wish to check it out instead. Remember, it's about 40 minutes long. Okay, so a little recap for some of my viewers, not everybody. Hardcore mode. Well, it's a mode in the Division 2. It isn't just a difficulty setting. It's permadeath. One mistake, one lag spike, one moment of distraction, and your entire character, all that gear, all that grind, all those hours, gone. Wiped. Deleted. So when someone manages to walk into an incursion solo and come out alive on hardcore, it's worth looking at closely. Not to gawk, not to be a fanboy, but to actually ask, what made this possible? Was it pure skill, perfect gear, or something else entirely? And most importantly, what can the rest of us actually learn from it and apply it to other aspects of the game? Because here's the thing, it's easy to watch a highlight reel and think, well, that guy's just cracked, I could never do that. But that's not the full story. The real lessons aren't in the flashy finish. They're buried in the build swaps, the environment choices, the mistakes avoided, and yes, the cracks in Ubisoft spaghetti code that made parts of the run look way different than what was intended. Today I wanted to break that whole thing down and clear it up. The builds, the choices, the strategies, and the parts that frankly may be more like cheese than mastery. And by the end, I want you walking away with something practical. Lessons you can apply in your own runs. Whether you're a casual player just trying to survive heroic, or something ambitious enough to consider hardcore. Because if you strip away the hype, what you're left is a rare look at how Division 2 really works under pressure. And that's worth dissecting. Okay. So, first, let's set the stakes. Hardcore mode is not like running Heroic with no revives. It's not even like running Legendary with a bad squad. It's worse. In Hardcore, death is permanent. Your character doesn't get sent back to a checkpoint. You don't respawn in a safe house. You don't wait for a revive to save you. You're done. That shade level, gone. The exotic build you spent weeks farming, gone. The perfect roll you finally hit after months of grinding, also gone. So when you see a Hardcore Incursion solo, you're not just watching mechanical skill. You're watching someone willingly risking their entire account's progress in real time. And that risk pressure is enormous. Every peek around a corner carries weight. Every reload has consequences. Every stray bullet from a random NPC could end everything. Now, add incursions to the mix. Ubisoft designed them as mini raids, 4-man content with mechanics, boss phases, and unique fail conditions. You're not meant to do it solo. It's not meant to be taken casually. They sit in their weird place where casuals don't touch them and elites complain that they're too easy. But combine incursions with hardcore? Well, that's suddenly a different animal. Because there are no second chances. You don't get to wipe and retry. You don't get to swap to a safety net, build mid-flight if you already committed wrong. Every choice has to be calculated in advance. Now let's not forget the backdrop here. This particular agent walked in with a shade level over 12,000. That tells us a few things. They've potentially put in an obscene amount of grind time into this game. And the gear used, this isn't a fresh hardcore character. They know the game inside and out. You don't casually reach 12k shade level without living inside the Division 2. So yes, skill mattered. Skill mattered a lot here. But equally important was the sheer time investment behind the character. And that's something a lot of people forget when they watch clears like this. You can't separate the grind from the achievement. It's both. Now, let's talk the builds, because honestly, this was one of the most fascinating parts of the run. Right out the gate, he goes into a Hotshot headshot build. Why? Well, because the very first threat in the incursion is a set of turrets that will shred you if you try to brute force them. Hotshot plus a nemesis lets him crack them clearly from range while minimizing exposure. And that's the first big lesson right here. Sometimes the right build for the job isn't the one you carry most of the time. It's the one that solves the problem in front of you. Once the turrets are down, though, he doesn't hang on to Hotshot. He swaps to Striker. And this is where things get really interesting. Striker's whole gimmick is building stacks through sustained weapon fire. On paper, that sounds risky in hardcore. Sustained fire means more time exposed, more chances to get hit. But in practice, Striker's damage ramp means he can clear waves faster, reducing the overall risk of prolonged engagements. That's the classic risk-reward trade-off, and in hardcore, faster clears often equals safer clears. Then there's the gear mix. Cheska holster and a Coyote's mask. That combination gives him extra crit chance and crit damage, synergizing perfectly with Striker. But more importantly, Coyote's mask spreads crit buffs to allies, or in this case, keeps himself buffed regardless of range. It's one of those pieces a lot of players overlook in solo play, but in hardcore, consistency matters more than chasing theoretical max rolls. Later, he also brings out a busy little bee, an exotic pistol that stacks damage buffs with each weapon swap. Now, most people treat the busy little bee as a novelty or a flex. I'm guilty of that. I don't use it. But in this context, it's kind of genius. Why? Because it gives him an on-demand damage ramp without requiring him to sit still spraying bullets. That means he can reposition, stay mobile, and still prep burst damage when needed. For hardcore, where standing still equals death, that's huge. The lesson here is simple but overlooked. You don't just need a build. You need multiple builds ready to swap mid-run. And more importantly, you need to know why each one exists. This clear wasn't just a guy running Striker the whole way. It was a guy thinking. Hotshot for turrets, Striker for waves. Busy little bee for burst windows, Coyote's mask for consistency. That's some next level planning. And it's something most players, especially the newer ones, don't appreciate just yet. Of course, builds alone don't carry you. The smartest thing about this run wasn't just the gear, it was how we used it. Take the sniper turret. On PC with a mouse, aiming and flicking headshots is relatively easy. On controller, depending on your dexterity, not so much. But dropping a sniper turret gives him a semi-autonomous way to land crits and chip enemies while he focuses on positioning. It was a controller-friendly solution to a controller-specific weakness. Then there's the sticky disruptor. If you watched closely, you'll see him use it to cancel enemy animations. Boss winding up on a heavy attack, sticky. Enemy about to launch a drone, sticky. It wasn't about raw damage, it was about control. And in hardcore, control is survival. Now, he also leveraged the environment brilliantly. Instead of rushing every cleaner, he sometimes kited them into flames, let environmental hazards do part of the work, and reduce his risk of being surprised. It's not sexy gameplay, but it is smart. And honestly, more players should do something like this. I try very hard to use the environment as best I can. Red gas cans, strewn about ammo caches on the ground, weak points, etc. And then, of course, there's the Striker stack management. Most people running Striker treat it like a DPS flex, but here it was a lifeline. He carefully ramped stacks only when safe, then used them to burst down waves before they overwhelmed him. That discipline, knowing when to build and when to spend, is what separated this from a highlight reel to a real achievement. Now, let's be honest. Not everything about this run was clean. For one, there were moments where NPC behavior looked off. Enemies failing to engage, pathing weirdly, or just standing idle. That's not mastery. That's Division 2's AI being its usual inconsistent self. And he smartly took full advantage of that. I know I would have. Then there's the question of modifiers. At one point, season modifiers looked active inside the incursion, something that's not supposed to happen. Was it a bug, a visual glitch, an unintended interaction? It's kind of hard to say. But it matters, because if modifiers were boosting his survivability or damage, that undercuts the purity of the world's first label. Then there's the finale. The last boss fight looked less like a tense hardcore showdown and more like a bug exploitation test. Invisible walls prevented enemies from landing damage. Drones exploded mid-air. The bosses stood practically invulnerable until he poked them from the right angle. Does that mean the clear wasn't impressive? No. But it does mean we need to be honest. If hardcore incursions are supposed to be a mini raid, then the final boss shouldn't have looked like Swiss cheese. Ubisoft needs to tighten these mechanics, because right now the biggest threat in hardcore isn't the enemy, it's the bugs. And that's part of why I'm covering this in detail. To many players, they will see the title World's First Hardcore Incursion Clear and assume it's a flawless benchmark. It wasn't. It was impressive, yes. Very impressive. But it was also a reminder that Division 2 Endgame still has some glaring cracks. So what do you take from this? If you're not chasing hardcore incursion world firsts? Well, first I would suggest build swapping matters. Don't marry one setup. Think in terms of what problem does this solve right now? We've spoken about this before. Second, don't ignore the environment. If there's fire on the ground and you could kite enemies into it, fucking do it. Free damage is free damage. Third, skills are more than just damage. A sniper turret isn't just extra bullets, it's controller assistance. A sticky isn't just splash, it's crowd control. Learn to use your toolkit for more than numbers. 4. Plan for the bugs. Division 2 is never 100% clean. NPCs will glitch. Bosses will path weirdly. Accept that unpredictability and adapt, instead of expecting every run to be stable. And finally, hardcore is unforgiving, but the principles that kept this agent alive apply everywhere. Whether you're struggling in heroic or dipping into legendary, discipline, build flexibility, and environmental awareness will carry you further than raw DPS ever will. So let's bring it home. A hardcore character. Solo. Controller. World's first incursion clear. It's an impressive sentence, and for good reason. It took thousands of hours, incredible discipline, and a willingness to risk everything. But it wasn't perfect. The builds were smart, the strategies clever, but the bugs were real, the final boss was messy, and the purity of the achievement is questionable. And that's okay, because the real value here isn't in worshiping the clear. It's in studying it, breaking it down, learning the lessons. So here's what I'll leave you with. Bravo to the agent who pulled this off. Respect where it's due. But if you're a Division 2 player watching this, don't walk away thinking I could never do that. Walk away thinking I need multiple builds, not one. I should pay more attention to my environment. I can use skills smarter, not just harder. And I should expect bugs and not be shocked by them. Because those lessons, those will carry you further into any highlight reel ever will. And that right there is what other creators really aren't talking about, especially with hardcore incursions. I hope you all found this video interesting and can apply it to your perspective within the game, the mechanics, and the builds you use. If it did, tell me about it in the comments below. You guys have been lighting up my comment section lately, so please know that I do my very best to reply, but if I can't, I still read every single one. Remember, if you're new to the channel and you like the content that teaches instead of spoon feeds, and if you like the kind of critical breakdowns I'm doing here, please consider hitting the subscription button. We're on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, so no matter where you play, you'll probably see us around. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can like, share, become a channel member, or check out the merch store. Every little bit keeps the content going. Don't forget, new Twitch drops start next week. I'll be running streams on Twitch for the event on the 9th and 10th, and the 16th and the 17th. So come get your drops. Twitch channel is also in the description of this video. Thanks so much for watching, and until the next one, this is Hannibal, signing off.
Gangs on fire, scream lightning roar. Slippery streets slick with lore. Mud on faces, the endless grind. Choke on silence, leave it behind. Stomp on cracks with the earth wide. Shadows glaring, nowhere to hide. Howl of wolves tearing through the stone. Sick of the echoes die.